So what we're gonna do in this video is do a full product review, how to, and assembly guide. So basically, we got a bunch of boxes. Let's just get to open them.
First box, which is the bender itself. So here we go. So it's got some nice powder coat. Yeah. Looks really strong.
Made in the USA, baby. Okay, sweet. So this looks like our hydraulic foot pedal. Hell yeah.
Stand.
Ooh, that is beefy, huh?
Yeah, that's big. Okay, and for the bender, we have our degree ring. So, yeah, wow. Looks pretty accurate.
Kind of my favorite part of the whole setup here. We have a 1-inch die as well as an 1 and 5/8 die. The 1-inch die is going to be for pretty much all of our regular projects, just carts, mini bikes, etc. And then the 1 and 5/8 die is going to be for stuff. Basically, we wanted this so we could build roll cages and cars. We're also going to build a complete tube chassis. This is so heavy. This is sick, look at that. But this is so we can build complete tube chassis, like our golf cart with the GSXR 600. We want to make that into a dragster and be NHRA certified and stuff like that. So we're gonna need 1 and 5/8 chromoly. This will do the job.
Everything unboxed. Before we start putting everything together, we're gonna make a quick stand for it. So you're gonna have a 3-foot bar in the back, and then we're gonna have another 3-foot bar coming out about 2 feet from where the stand comes from. And then we're gonna have these nice locking caster wheels so we can move it around easily and lock it down.
Took forever to cut. This is where I wish we had a plasma cutter. But coming all over here, we grinded down the top weld, and this is just gonna sit right up in here. And we'll drill our holes and hook her up.
Alright, so we're done drilling all the holes and we ended up shortening this front bar a little bit. And now it's time to put the caster wheels on. So this is 2 inches thick and our caster wheels are a little bit too big, so we are just going to end up just welding them on. But we'll give them, they won't be taking too much force since it's hydraulic. So just a couple of welds and it'll be really easy to cut off, no problem.
So it wouldn't be a Build Break Creep build if we didn't use a Go Power Sports part. So we got our Go Power Sports engine plate that we adapted basically into a holder for our hydraulic foot press. So the idea is we'll be able to either use it in here, or if we're kind of using it more, we can lift it out and put it on the ground. But it's really made to fit either way. So now that we're done with all the fabrication, what we gotta do is we gotta clean this thing up, and we're gonna use some tractor paint, like just super durable stuff, and get it painted up. Got the farm.
Yep.
And implement paint.
Looks pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
See how she do. We're kind of going for
very thick coat.
Yeah, just about as much as we can get on there. Yeah, it reminds me of 415, I guess.
Under your wing, everything is
Okay, so now after you've tightened down these 2 bolts, you want to make sure that your pin slides up and down very easily, since you'll be using this to set the dies and stuff. And then you want to add a little bit of grease to the pin as well, just to make it a little bit easier to slide. After you're done installing the ratchet arm onto the handle, you're pretty much all done with the manual setup. But we got the hydraulic conversion kit, so we're good to install in that. Install the pivot block into the hydraulic cylinder. We're kind of having a little bit of trouble getting our threads started, so we're just gonna do the hydraulics and extend the cylinder first, and then we'll be able to screw this in easier. Okay, so we have all the hydraulic lines and the air hose hooked up. So now we need to prime the pump. So what you do is you take off the pedal, which is just a pin going through it, and then you're gonna press down both the air intake valve and the release valve simultaneously. So this one just has a little slot for a flathead, and there we go. And okay, and then after that, if you press the pump end and that moves, you should be good. Yeah, got a good response. Should be all right. With you, it's always easy as can be. So now that all our hydraulics are done, we're now going to put our first die in there. So the first thing you want to do is you're going to lubricate the inside of your die, and then you can just put that in, and the big pin goes through that one. And then you're going to have this 3-inch bolt right here, which is just to keep, like, grab onto the tube so that it doesn't slip while you're bending it. You put your U-strap on and the pin through that. The pointer goes on the end right here. You can tighten that down, and then this can be bent anywhere to accommodate your gauges. And then for dies 4 inches radius or smaller, they're going to give you a smaller pin to put in here just to hold the die straight, and there will be a little wiggle room, but that's all right. And then we'll install the backing block, which goes right up next to the die. There you go. The dies are in. Now we're going to make our reference bend, which is just kind of a pipe that you can take measurements off of, so you know how much pipe is used in a bend or stuff like that. You're going to start with a 3-foot long piece of tube, and then measure 12 inches from left to right on one end, and then you'll line that mark up right with the edge of the die. Tighten the anti-slip bolt just a little bit, just lightly enough so it'll keep the pipe in place but not too tight. We're just going to kind of tap on the pump a little bit just to make sure all the slack is out, so then we can set our pointer. So let's see, just kind of. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's no more wiggle. So now we'll just make sure our pointer is at 0 exactly, and that should be lined up.
So 90-degree bend, let's do it.
Yep. Since the hydraulic cylinder only has about 14 inches of throw, you then have to release the pressure, and then we'll move this pin back 1 notch on the die, and then we'll get to bend some more.
That looks like it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes you might have to go a little bit past because the pipe does bend back. But now let's take it out and check it with a square.
So we are a little less than 90 right here. It's not touching at the bottom there. So we'll just put this back in the bender right on this mark and just bend it a little bit more. Okay, so we got to exactly 90. For us, we kind of had to bend it to like 92.5, and then it stretched back to 90. But here we go. So now we'll get a bunch of measurements off this thing, and we'll use all this data to then bend any other pipe perfectly.
Okay, so now that we kind of know how to use the tubing bender, we have some reference tubes and stuff. We're back to the CJ. Since you've seen it last, it's got a hard top and doors and some 36-inch eye rocks on it. Absolutely huge, but something this project's been needing for a long time is a new cross member. So we're gonna bend up some 1-inch tube and make one.
So the whole reason for the reference tube is to get all of this data right here. So what we had is the 12-inch measured section, and then when you put the square on it, you can measure how much it gained. So we gained about 3 7/8, making it 15 7/8 against the square. And then we lost about 1.5 inches, which made it 22.5 against the square instead of 24. So with that data, we can then draw a little diagram of what the cross member is going to need to be. So we know it needs to be 33.25 across. So then you split that into 2 halves, so 16 5/8 on each half. And then we know that we lose 1.5 inches. So then you're going to add that to the end. So that's what this little section right here is. And then from there, for like the downward height, I guess, you're gonna need to have your length minus what you gained. So in our case, we gained 3 7/8, and for our length, we want it to be 4 inches. So these parts sticking out of the die at the very end are just gonna be 1/8 inch long. So from that, all we do is set the die on facing outward on each end, bend one at a time, and we'll be good. Okay. Sweet. So we got the front bar done. It fits really well. So now all we gotta do is the back bar.
Okay, so we just finished tacking up our cross member with the 2 cross braces. And now I want to add a little basically bash bar for the transfer case because they're pretty unprotected on CJs. So now what we're going to do is bend a complete 180 hoop. So it should be really cool. This is one of the things I was most excited for with a tubing bender, being able to bend full 180s. Okay, there's our 180. Oh, that is awesome.
I could wait a long, long time to prove that I am true. I hope you believe me. I will stay.
So I added a lot of extra bars to this. You saw the one I bent up here for the transfer case. And then I added the sheet metal gusset here, and we used our Eastwood 2.5 inch dimple dies to kind of make some cool holes in it. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint it up with some tractor paint and then install it on the CJ. Okay, so we have our new cross member all installed on the CJ. It turned out amazing. Tractor paint's awesome stuff if you're kind of building off-road components and things you just don't really want to get dinged up on the trail or stuff you don't have to worry about. I highly recommend it. But this video was about the Pro Tools tubing bender. Absolutely love it, guys. We were able to get perfect bends. I mean, you can see, so like imagine our tube frame rails, and we had to calculate and measure how to exactly get a bar to go in between the two. We never even messed up. It makes it pretty easy. Don't worry if you're not too good with numbers and stuff. Pro Tools in the manual lines it all out. I know our description was a little bit confusing, but it's kind of hard to look back at all that math and stuff and really understand it. It really helps if you're just doing it yourself. So with that being said, thank you Pro Tools. We absolutely love it. It's gonna make pipe bending super easy, and the hydraulic add-on, it makes it like no effort required. It almost feels like you're not even doing work. So thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you Pro Tools. See you next time.